All right, so in this video, I'm going to show you how we can take multiple spreadsheets that are all listed in a single folder in our Google Drive and just combine the data from those to one final file. So in this case, if you look here, I have in my drive this folder called lesson. And in that folder, I have another folder called worksheets. And if I open that, I have 3 spreadsheets here. If I open this file 1, you'll see it's basically some data. If I open file 2, it's some data on this one. And if I open another file, it's basically another file with some data. So what is this? I'm probably just gonna get rid of this, but we could just skip it. It doesn't matter. It's not gonna make any difference. So now we want to just make one more file that will be all of these combined together. So I'll go here and I want to make sure that I don't do this in the same folder where my source files are. So I'm going to go above this in this lesson folder and create my new spreadsheet. So right click, Google Sheets, blank spreadsheet. And I'm going to call this master combined from G Drive. So let's get right to it. So I'm going to go to Tools, Script Editor to open the script editor. And the first thing we need to do here, we need to read the drive to get access to this worksheets folder and see what files we have here. So to do that, we'll go here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more and rename this project. So to access our drive, we need the Drive app. And this needs to be in uppercase A. So here we need to see how we're going to get to our folders. See, if I scroll down, there's get files by name. We're not going to do that. We can do get folder by ID or get folders by name. So the best method would be to get the folder by its ID. So if I just look here, this is that worksheets folder. And if I go and right click on this, or even better, if I go to lessons, this is that worksheets. This is the folder I need to get to. If I right click on this, I'm gonna go under share. And I'm not really trying to share this. I'm just trying to get the ID. So if I go under advanced here, see here we have this long link, whatever that is. I'm just going to copy that whole link right there. I'm not changing any settings here. I'm not sharing with anybody else. I'm just getting out of here. Go back to my script. Let's just quickly just type it in here as a comment. So we just need the ID. So I don't need this beginning part. I just need starting from the slash after folders and then going here until this question mark, and I don't need that. So that's the ID part for that folder. So now I'm gonna go back here and do get folder by ID, and the ID is gonna be whatever this was. So I'm gonna copy this and paste it right here. Good. So I'm going to save this in a variable. I'll call it var folder equals to this. So that will give us the folder. So now if we take that folder has different methods, one of which is get files. And that will give us an iterator. So I'll show you what that means in a second. So I'm going to run that and call this var files iterator equals to that. And what this files iterator is, it's basically going to have this method next. And when you run this, it's going to give you a file. So let me show you. So if I just do var file equals that, if I just take that file and see there are different things about the file, let's just get the name of the file to make it easy for us to read. So that should just get us the name of the file. So I'll just say var fn equals to that. And then let's just log that out so we can see what that fn holds after we do this. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to run this. It's going to ask for permission stuff, which is normal. We're going to grant those permissions really quickly here. So that's that, advanced, this. Now let's go and look at our log. So we can find it under view logs or control enter or command enter and see it says another file. So if you remember in that folder in worksheets, that's one of the files, another file, but that's just one of them. So what's going to happen every time we do this next again? So if I just do this for the second time here, so I'm just copy pasting. Now we're doing that next twice. And if I run the same code, now you'll see that's one of the other files. And then if I run it again, it's going to go to the next one. So basically, if we keep repeating this code, it's going to keep going to the next one. But at some point, we need to know to stop because we're going to run out of files. So to do this, what we're going to do, we're going to go here after we got this file iterator and create a while loop. And we'll say while that iterator has actually an argument that can check if it still has more files. And this is this has next method. So this is going to basically check if the file iterator still has more files in it. And if it does, we're going to just run what's in this loop. And it's going to keep doing this until we run out of files. So I'm going to move all of this code now and put it over here. Format this a little better. So that's our while loop. So I'm going to just get this declaration out of that loop. Not equals here, just file and get this out of here. Otherwise, it's going to keep annoying me. It doesn't make much difference. So we're going to run this. And if we look at this, see, we have first file, second file, third file. They may or may not be in the same order as they are in here, but that's the list of files. So now that we have this going for us, once we get the file, this file, other than the name, has a bunch of methods on it. See, we can do get ID, which is something we're actually going to need. We can also get the MIME type, which might also be useful because if we decide to put some other files in that folder that are not spreadsheets, we might want to just ignore those files. So let's just try this, get MIME type. Let's just see what this gets us. So I'm just going to rename this to type, and let's actually not use the keyword type. Let's do file type, and that's going to be here and here. Let's just run this and see what we get. So see, that's the type we got. That's basically a spreadsheet from our Google Sheets. I'm going to copy that type because I want to be able to use that. So once I get the type, I want to do an if statement. And I'm going to say if that file type equals to that particular type, then we're going to go ahead and do what's in this loop, or in this if statement more accurately, spreadsheet. Okay. So now let's just run this. So that's nothing new. It should run the same way, and it should just add another line that says spreadsheet, 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 because we're checking if it's this, and if it is, we're doing that text as well. But let's go back and add something that's not a spreadsheet to see what's going to happen. So I'm going to go here, new Google Docs, blank document, and do other stuff here. Doesn't matter, it's just some document. So now there is that new file. If I go back and run the same code, see the type for that document is document here. And that's why for the first one, we're not saying spreadsheet in the beginning. Only for these three, we're saying spreadsheet because we're only getting inside of this if statement when it's matching the type of file we're looking for. So this way we can avoid touching other file types. Okay, so now when we got here, we have the spreadsheet. Now instead of doing the spreadsheet, let's actually do the ID of the spreadsheet. So we'll do var SSID, declare it there, and then let's just get it in here. So we'll say SSID equals 2. We'll take that file that we've already done above and get the ID. So where is it? Get ID. And let's just log that out. So if we do this, that should just print out the ID for all those files. And we need those IDs because we're going to use them to actually open these other spreadsheets and get the data from them. All right, so now let's do a quick setup here. First of all, let's just put this column names, copy them and put them in here so we have them. So the column names are the same in all of these, and that's going to help us. So we have to do less work. So now let's try to read those files, get the data, and bring that over. To do that, first of all, let me do that in a separate function first. So I'm going to leave this first function alone and go back and do another function. And I'm going to call it get data from spreadsheet. So here I'm going to start by getting my spreadsheet app. And we'll do get, actually we need to do open, not get. And we're going to open it by ID because we're going to have the ID. So that's good. So when we have the ID, we should be able to open it. Now let's get one of the IDs that we had above. Let's actually do it like this so it lets us read the log. So I'm going to copy one of these IDs for my spreadsheets, go back here and paste it in here. So that's going to open that particular spreadsheet using this spreadsheet app. Then once we have that spreadsheet, we need to open the first tab. And if you look, the tab names aren't really named the same in this different spreadsheets. So if we take that spreadsheet, we're going to get, well, we could do get sheet by name if all of them had the same name. So if the name was the same for all of them and they were all called like partial data 3, we could do this and just do the name, which was partial data 3. But in this case, we can't do that because it's not going to be the same for all of them. So instead, what we're going to do, we're just going to get all of the worksheets, which is this get sheets, and that will give us an array of all tabs. And to get the first one, we'll just say the index 0, which is the first worksheet. So that should give us the worksheet. We'll save it in a variable like this. Now, once we have the worksheet, which is going to be the first one, let's see which file this is ending with QM. Think it's this one. Yeah, there it is, QM. So that's this. So now we need to grab the data. So we're going to grab the data starting from this A2, going all the way through G, wherever the end is. So A2 through G, the end. So I'm going to go back to this. Here we go. And I'll take that worksheet and say get range. And the range that I'm going to get is going to be from A2 through G, and I want to just find the last row and add it in here. So I'm gonna concatenate that here and take that worksheet and say get last row. So that should just figure out which is the last row and end up saying A2 through G, in this case, 14. So that's good. And that should get us that range. Now we're gonna take that and get the values to an array. Let's save that to a variable. So I'm gonna say var data equals this. And let's just log this to make sure this works. So I'm gonna do logger log and data. I'm gonna save that, go back to this and run that function. So I'm gonna switch to that and run. It's gonna ask for more permissions here because now we're trying to get to a new file, which can be annoying. So we were able to grab the data. Now what I want to do, I want to convert this to a function that's gonna just return that data. And to do that, I'll just say SSID as a spreadsheet ID here, and I'll pass that ID here instead of this hard-coded ID. And then we'll just return the data, which is that array. So now we have a function that can just get the ID of the spreadsheet, go get the data, and return the data back. So now we can use that function in our other function. So I'm gonna switch to this. So here, instead of logger logging this, I'm gonna get the data from spreadsheet, and that's the SSID. That coincidentally is matching the variable name I used there, but it's really like this going here. So that's good. So now we can say var data, it's gonna be basically whatever data we get from that spreadsheet, it's gonna return back to this. So what we need to do, we have to just combine all of these data sets from these different files. So to do that, let's go to the top and create an initial variable. So we'll call it combined data. And initially it will just be an empty array. There will be nothing in it. And then let's just define this variable data on top here too, so we don't have to do this var every single time. So we'll just do this. So now we should be able to say our data this time is gonna be, let's just get this function and run that ID and get the data from that ID. And remember, this ID every time was the ID of that current file from that folder. So now once we get the data, we basically just gonna put that inside of this combined data. And we can do that by simply using concat method on this combined data. And we're gonna concatenate that data array to our array. And what I'm gonna do, because this returns a new array, we'll just have to say this equals to this concat data. All right, so now after this while loop is over, which is ending here, so let's just comment that. And this one is if statement. So after that while loop, let's just try to log the data after we combine it. So I'm gonna run now this function that's called my function, which is right here. I'm gonna run this. It's probably gonna ask for more permissions. Well, apparently it did not. Let's go and check the log. All right, so we got an array, and I think that's a combination of all of them, but it's hard for me to tell. There is a lot going on here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna do dot length to get how many rows we have in this to see if that's accurate. So it says 41. Let's go check that. So it should be, zoom out here. So it's 13 here. Then we have 14 there, 13, 14, and 14 again, not including the top, right? 14, 14, and 13. So that makes it correct. That makes it 41. Good, that's good news. Now let's take that new combined array and put it back in our main spreadsheet, the master. So all we have to do, we have to again access our spreadsheet app. And we're gonna get our active spreadsheet because this script is tied to this because I started that from going tools, script editor from this file. And I'm gonna get this worksheet. So I'm gonna just call this combined. Copy this, go back here and get sheet by name. The name of that worksheet will be combined. So we'll just say var ws and we'll say ws.getRange. And that's going to be starting from the second row and the first column. So row 2, column 1. Number of rows is going to be however many rows we end up having in that combined data. And remember, I can get that by doing combined data.length. And then number of columns, well, in this case, it's kind of going to be fixed. So we could just say 7, but we can also just calculate that by taking that array and getting the first row and then calculating the length of the first row, which is going to be number of columns. So that should figure out how large that data is. And then we're going to do set values. Our values are going to be coming from that combined data array. So this should take care of it. Let's go ahead and run this to see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. Okay, done. Let's go and take a look. There's our combined data. We probably need to just reformat this to date. And if you want to format this to currency, you can too. And we have everything combined in one spreadsheet. Let's also test this by adding another file to that folder. So I'm going to go here and do, well, actually, let's just open one of these and make a copy of it in a new spreadsheet. Open it. I'm gonna make sure I move that to that same folder, but let's first rename this. Yet another file, something like that. And that should go to that lessons worksheets folder. There it is. Good. Let's change this up a little bit so we can tell that it's a different data set. Okay, good. So we have another file. You don't have to have these files open like this. So I'm just going to close this. Let's just confirm that sitting in here, yet another file. So now I'm going to just go and run this. Now, it might be a good idea to clear this data from here before we put the new data in here, just for good practice. So I'm going to add that to my code. So once I got the worksheet, before I do this and put the data in, we'll do worksheet and we'll do clear. Yeah, before we clear, we have to get the range we're clearing. So we'll do get range and I'll do string notation here to make it easy. So that's going to be from A2 through G all the way down. So I can do that by doing A to G. And then I'll do clear content. So that should just clean the worksheet before it puts the new data in there. So let's run that my function thing right here, which is this. We should probably rename this to make it nicer, but anyhow, I'm going to run this. And now we have all of them combined, including that new file that was A, B, and all this stuff. So I want to add just one more thing to this before I finish this video. So in addition to having all of this, it would be probably nice to also have a column here that says file and gives us the file name where this data is coming from. So let's do that as well. I'm gonna go back to this and see here when we get the data, instead of just taking that data and combining that, let's add the name of the file as an extra column in that data. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say data equals to, and I'll take that same data and map it. And that map will accept a callback function. And we'll say R for row, so that will be one of the rows in the data. So we need to return that same row. And to that row, we're going to add that extra thing to the end. So I'm going to do concat, and that concat is going to be an array, and that array should be just one value, and that value is going to be the name of the file. And we can get that name of the file by taking this file variable and doing get name, if you remember. So that should create a new array from that data with the name of the file as the last column, and then we'll just put it back into our spreadsheet. Let's run this and make sure it works. Let's go back and check it out. Nice. So now we have the name of the file here as well, in addition to just having the data. And we can take this to a final step by just adding a button in our spreadsheet, so we can just click on it and run it. So we'll just rename this function. We'll call it combine data to master. Save that, copy this. This is all case sensitive, by the way, so be careful here. I'm gonna go back here and add a button, a drawing here. We're gonna do this, some background, some color of the font. That's good. Save and close. Move this someplace helpful, I guess. Click on this little side of this, assign script, and paste the name of our function. Hit OK. Now we have this. Let's just clear everything from here and run it again. Good. That works reasonably well. I also want to just test this. What if we don't have enough rows? Would it just automatically resize this and add it, or are we gonna have a problem? So let's say we have less rows. No, it figures it out for us. Good. This works. And that should do it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.